Hello again. Episode 131, can you believe it? This week I'll show you how I made Yorkshire Parkin. I'm going to show you some socks and chat about those. I'm going to show you what's on my crafting table. As a little film, I walk into town and my great-grandson helps himself to some chocolate, so there's that too. So please join me for Penelope's Chin Wag. Oh, how have you all been? I popped round to see Heather yesterday and she said thank you so much for all your lovely messages. I know you so enjoyed seeing her crafts, and she's just, how she does it, I don't know. She thinks these things up and she makes them and they're done in, well, it's beautiful. But she wants to say thank you to you for your lovely well wishes and for some of you, for some of your orders. She wasn't expecting it at all. I just popped round because I wanted to show you, but some of you wanted some bits and got in touch with her. So that's lovely. Yes, that's how I am this week. So shall I get straight on with it? I wanted to talk to you about socks. Now, I know some of you knit socks. I'm going to do a separate video and show you, because people have asked me to, show you how I knit my socks, what I do. Will you show me, they say. Okay, I will. So when I start my next sock, I'm going to film the different parts of it so that you can see how I do it. When Pete was poorly, he got his time last year and he's still recovering from it, as you know. He got sepsis, and from the sepsis it turned into reactive arthritis, and he was immobile then for a couple of months really, and he couldn't move. Well, I mean, if you went near his bed, he just looked at you in horror. It took 4 of them to move him in the bed, Anyway, all of that, it meant that his arthritis, ankles, it wasn't good. But he wore my socks. When he came home, he wore the socks I knitted him. And when he saw the doctor said, I can't believe how well you're doing. And I said, I think it's the socks. You hear that if you have hand knitted socks, they're so good for you. Pete loves them. That's all he wears. And then I was looking up the properties of wool. Well, I'm going to talk about wool. I'm going to talk about alpaca, superwash, cashmere, the wool, and I'm going to talk about that in the separate video that I hope to make when I show you how I make my socks, because I have had washing machine head this week, and yeah, I found out quite a bit about it all. Just let's stick to the socks for this week. Here's my socks. I've knitted Pete a sock. I've done that on a size 2 needle. It's not difficult. It's not any more difficult than a 2.25 to, 2.5. I've gone right down to a 2 needle. And I've changed the wool that I'm using for socks, because all of the wool that I chose to knit, apart from one pair, which I got from Garth and Orr, and I'm going to purchase some more from Garth and Orr too. I got this from Woolly Mammoth in Northern Ireland. It's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. There's no nylon, so you've got the pure properties of wool. But you want to use the wool if you're not going to use the nylon. When you think nylon was invented halfway through the 20th century, so the women who knitted socks all through the years, it's just been knitted with wool. But what you need to do is put a twist on the wool, 2-ply, twist that finely. So it's a beautiful twist on the wool. That's what I'm doing. So that's what I've done since I saw you last. And where am I with this? I'm just about to turn the heel, I think. Yeah, you can see I thought, oh no, it looks so small, but it's beautiful. When you wash it, it really blooms. That's what they say about the wool. So I'm going to talk about the properties of wool in the episode, as I say, where I show you how I knit my sock. And I'm going to talk about the properties of all the other things that we can choose from. And then we've got choices we can make. I mean, there's horses for courses, isn't there? It's horses for courses. I've also knitted something else this week. I'll go and get it. I knitted this, and I knitted it for George. Do you remember? It's a very nice pattern. It's got that one stitch going down it, and then on the back you can see it's got the 3. I knitted it in the next size up for Tommy, and I also put a button band on. I didn't put the button band on because it's not in the pattern for George, but I thought it needed it. It needed, you know, anchorage. So there we are. Tommy's not well at the minute, so he hasn't been round to collect it, but as soon as he gets better, you know, it's the usual little children's things. Temperature, tummy upset, that sort of thing. But that's what I've knitted. That knits up so quickly. And I'll put in the notes below what the pattern is. So that's what I've been up to. And yes, as I say, I'll tell you all what I found out about all the different wools. You probably know it, but I didn't in my next episode, which is going to be how I knit socks. I'm going to, well, it might not be my next episode, but as I knit the next pair of socks, I'll film it and I'll show you, and I'll have a chat with you about it all. So that's enough of that, isn't it? I made the Yorkshire Parkin. So shall we go through to the kitchen and I'll show you that. And then after that, I'm just putting in a little film that my granddaughter sent me of George. And he went to the cupboard, I think, and helped himself to some chocolate. So yeah, that's coming up too. I'll see you in a minute. I'm making Yorkshire Parkin. I've never made it before. It makes 12 squares. In our house, well, that's 6 each, isn't it? Would that be like one a day? Last you 6 days. Okay. And this says it's an ancient recipe. Parkin was transformed by the addition of bicarbonate of soda. If you can manage to bake this a few days ahead, it will become stickier and richer as it matures. That sounds lovely, doesn't it? So we'll see what's what, shall we? So in this bowl, I've got 225 grams of medium oatmeal, 225 grams of dark muscovado sugar, 1 tablespoon of ground ginger, and 1 teaspoon of bicarbonate of soda, and 225 grams of plain flour. Right. I've also got here 110 grams of black treacle, 110 grams of golden syrup, and 225 grams of unsalted butter. Then I've got 2 large eggs and 125 ml of milk, which I'm going to whisk up together. That'll do, it just says whisk together, so I don't think, that's fine. Put the butter, golden syrup and treacle in a pan. Okay, put the butter, golden syrup, and now I loved it. I could just eat that like that. Now this is the black treacle. Oh, it's gooey, isn't it? Gooey, gooey. I said you can't get it all out, but it's mostly out, right? So that was the heat the oven to 170 degrees. I've done that. Did that earlier before we had our cup of tea. Grease a 30 by 21 baking tin. So I've done that. I've greased it, but I also put paper on it. That's a palaver. But anyway, I've done it. Put the butter, golden syrup and treacle in a pan and heat gently until melted. Righty-ho. Like that. What's next? Beat the eggs with milk in a jug. I've done that. Put the flour, bicarbonate of soda, ginger into a large bowl. Add the sugar and oatmeal and mix well. Stir in the melted butter and syrup mixture, followed by the eggs and milk. So I've got to stir that into there, but as you know, I always do things the other way around because it's easier for me to stir it in there. So I'm going to stir that in there, and I'm going to stir that in there. I mean, that's pretty simple, isn't it? Pour the mixture into the prepared baking tin and bake for 45 to 55 minutes. My oven bakes really quickly. I wouldn't be surprised if it's not 30 minutes. So that's milk. I haven't got any mess. I mean, I've got 2 bowls. 2 bowls, that's my mess. I'll pop that in the sink. Got my morning cup of tea. So we're going to go out for a walk after this. And I'm going to take some photographs of round the town because some of you said, oh, when I've talked about Bleak House, that's where it was called Fort House, but then Dickens, this Broadstairs was his favourite place on earth. That's what he said, and he was. Wilkie Collins came to stay here. Hans Christian Andersen came to stay at Bleak House with him. And he had some chums. And so I'm just going to take a few photographs of round the town to show you a little bit more about Charles Dickens. There is a beautiful house there where he wrote David Copperfield, and he took it all from there, but that's got scaffolding around it at the minute. They're doing it up, so I'll put that up on another film. I think this is melted. Oh, yes. I suppose if you cut the butter into little bits, it will melt even quicker, but I mean, you take that off there. It's just melting that last bit of butter. Yeah, that's melted. So I'm going to now turn the gas off. I'm going to pour that in there because that's what they said, or Paul Hollywood said. All goes in. Oh my goodness, it's quite a lot. Look, that's it. Stir that round. and then put in the eggs and the milk. Well, there's not much washing up here, not much fiddling about, is there? But now I've got to stir that all round properly. So this, I mean, that didn't take much stirring. So if you haven't got much elbow power, this is okay. Can you see? So now I'm going to pour it in the tin. It's delicious, especially if you like treacle and syrup. Absolute, see, how can that last 6 days? People say, can I have another chunk? Well, I've just taken it out of the oven and it took 22 minutes in my oven. I've popped a knife in, it's come out clean. I think that's how you test it, isn't it? And it looks delicious. The whole house smells just divine. It went in the oven for 22 minutes. It's been out for about 10 minutes. I'm eating the end bit and I've cut this, can you see, into squares. Now I'm going to let that get cold in the tin, and then it says, of course, that's what it says, store it, and in a few days' time that will get sticky. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to store it. I'll give him the end bit like I've had the end bit, and then we're going to store the rest and let it get sticky. That's it. I'm nodding away like I'm going to do it, but I am.
What did you just go get? And what you got? Chocolate? Is it chocolate? George! That was cheeky. No more, no more, no more. George!
So that Yorkshire Parkin came out really, really beautifully, and I'm leaving it. I am leaving it. Pete had a bit with custard yesterday, but we're leaving it and we're going to let it go sticky because that's what Paul says to do. So it's in the tin at the minute. So let's pop upstairs and I'll show you what's on my crafting table. First of all, what I intend to knit in the future, when I, suddenly I just get this, I need to knit that now, I'm in the mood, and then I'll knit it, but it's all ready for that mood to come upon me. And I'm going to knit the Sunset Skies shawl by Helen Stewart. I have knitted, I can't tell you, I have knitted so many. And the reason I've knitted so many is because I just love them. Here's my one that I literally wear all the time. I mean, it's always on me. And I do want to knit myself another one because I've only got one, because every other one I gave away. So the next one I'm going to be knitting, I'm going to be giving away too. They want it in green. So I have some green, as you know, I'm knitting from Stash. I have some lovely alpaca, which I knitted my V-neck in recently. Do you remember? So I've got some of that. And then for the Sunset Skies, you can do the different colours. So I've sorted out some greens, a little bit of blue to go with, just to bring it to life. That's the one that's going to be the main colour on the bottom. And yeah, so I'm going to knit that when I'm in the mood. I know who it's for. Extended family, which is quite nice. But yeah, so that's on my crafting table. What else? Well, you saw Heather last episode, didn't you? And did you see her mice in the box? So beautiful. She does them so beautifully. And darling girl has made me, I happen to have it in a box, but it's not going to be in this box for me. But I've got all the stuff. Let me put you down. I've got all the stuff here. She's made me a mouse. Hello. I know you've got no clothes. But there's a story behind this. And the story is, when I was at school, there was this attitude at my school amongst the girls that, you know, I don't know, it wasn't cool to do what they asked. And actually, it was very cool. But I went along with it wasn't cool. And so I didn't put any effort into what I made. But I remember at the end of term, Jennifer Ellis, I so fell in love with what she had made and desperately wished in my heart of hearts that I'd put some effort into and that I'd made it. Because what we had to do, we had to take to school a box, a chocolate box, and I think what Jennifer Ellis took was Black Magic. Do you remember those Black Magic boxes? And then underneath they'd have a tray as well. Well, her Black Magic box, she made the sheets, the blankets, the quilt. I mean, so exquisitely, you know, pulled thread work, embroidery, the works. And I just remember looking at it at the end of term thinking, why didn't I do that? But of course it wasn't cool, was it? I mean, one has had one's reputation to think of. How stupid. Anyway, since that day, I've always wanted to make one. And I thought, well, how marvellous. Yeah, she wants one. I want one. And so I'm going to give her one. And in this box, let me put it down for you. In this box, I've got some mice ribbon that I've had. Oh, that's birds, but who knows? I might use it. Here's a little more mice ribbon. And this in here, I know you're going to be quite pleased. This in here is my mum's nighties that I, kept. I couldn't keep the whole nighties, but I just at the time remember saying, I've got to cut that off. I've got to cut that off. The blue, I've used it before. Hanky my mum had. My mum used she used this every day. We bought those for her from Windsor. I've got my dresses that I made in the early 70s. I made that dress. I've got very nice, this is a very special outfit I had for a wedding. It's a Louis Farrow. My granddaughter's got the skirt, but I kept the top and I'm going to use that. It's silk, it's pure silk. All these bits, you see, another dress I made in the 70s. And then I've got the bed sheet that was my daughter's. And I mean, she was born in 69. So yeah, I put this on the cot when she went in her cot, which was when she was 6 weeks old, because it was a cot bed. So, I've had it a long time. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. So all these things I'm going to use and make a little, it's like a memory box really, isn't it? It will be, but it's going to take me time, and I'm going to do it when I'm in the mood, because that's the way to do it, isn't it? Maybe that's what it was at school. I wasn't in the mood. Don't ask me to do that now. I can't do things to order, but when I'm in the mood, I just crack on, and I'm, washing machine head and all of that. So she's waiting, Gorgeous. Tuck you up, people, pair of shoes, and it's a beautiful box. I thought we'll pop it in there. Oh, don't forget the ribbon. I've also got a jumper load, as you know, knitting stash, sorted out. I've shown you before. Alpaca silk 4-ply. And I've got the pattern I want to do. And I'm going to put this with it just to lighten it. I think that will take the edge of the brightness off. Though the brightness might be quite nice. But I'm going to do that. I think I've shown you before. Oh, here it is. Here's my swatch. So we'll see. That is there waiting for me to pick my needles up. Right. What else have I got on my table? What else I've got on my table is a 6-inch square to do my quilt as you go. I wanted to do a big square, and I think the other squares I did were 5-inch and 2.5 that I made for Mila's bed round my daughter's house when she stays over. And of course George has fallen hook, line and sinker for that quilt. As far as he's concerned, he's under it. And George is Mila's brother, great-grandson. And I thought I would make George a quilt, but do bigger pictures on, so that, because he really likes looking at the pictures. So that's there, ready to do. I'm going to use the backing of a few of my dad's shirts and a few of Pete's shirts that he says to me, I don't want these anymore. They're very old. You know, we don't go out like we used to. And yeah, so I thought, right, okay, I'll use those as the backing. So he'll have his great-great-granddad's shirts for his quilt, but I'm going to use pictures, obviously, so that he can look, and they love it, the I Spy quilt. And then I've got one more thing on, which is in my bag I made from Mum's Bits. Lillian the bee gave me the pattern. Well, you know, gave us all the pattern on her episode, and I made it how I wanted to with, you know, my Mum's Bits. And I've got in here some squares that I made when Pete was in hospital this time last year, and also my embroideries, a few of my embroideries. Here they are. I've shown you many times before, so I'm not going to show you again. There's my little mouses. Now I've just received a present of some pure silk embroidery silks, for which I am so grateful. And I so well, we have a family saying she's off again, and that was it. She's off again. I did cry when I received them. They're absolutely beautiful. I'll show you. Here they are. What beautiful colours. And thank you so much. And I'm going to do, I think I'm going to do another one of these, because it turned out well. Do you remember I traced it from the book? And I did it for Helen's Mousy Make-Along. But I like it. And I'm going to sew these all together, because I did have them on, you know, a roll. But you have to undo the roll to look at them. So I want to make something that I can look at all the time. I've got a feeling to make it so that I hang it and it goes on my door, you know, one of my doors. So I think it will be nice, but I've just got to be in the mood, and I'm going to put those in there with it. I've just got to be in the mood and get it right in my head, as I've said. Yeah, I'm looking up here. I don't know why. I don't know if I've shown you these. They're on my wall. I can't reach the top one. I'll just take a photo of that and put it up. But this is English paper piecing. It's a you send off for the papers to Lynette Anderson. So I got the papers, and it's a 4-inch square. It's actually in one of her books, but it also has an embroidery around it. Lighthouse ship, little ships. And I think there's 76 pieces of English paper piecing in that makes the 4-inch square. And I loved it. I absolutely love doing it. Storm at Sea, one of my favourite squares. The other one up there, I'll take a photo and put it here, and because it's too high for me to reach. Anyway, that's what's on my crafting table. All things to be done when I'm in the mood, when I want to, and also some beautiful wool. Now this wool, I've looked at this wool, I would say for about the past 6 months, and I thought to myself, I want that, I want one. But I said, no, you're using your stash. You're using your stash. You don't even know what you'll knit with it. But I kept looking, is it still there? Is it still there? And it was. And it's with Attic Spin Dye. I took this round to show Heather yesterday, and she couldn't believe the softness, the beauty of the wool. So Andy dyes it, I think, and Angela, you know her. But if you don't, it's Attic Spin Dye. Now, I'm not going to be able to show you the colours as they are. Would it be better without the light? Let me turn that light off. Yes, it's better without the light. Can you see? It's called Rhosyn, Rhosyn, and it's very creamy, light blue, light pink, and this sandy, light sand colour. So watch this space for what I knit with this. I didn't have a clue what I was going to knit with it. I just knew I needed it. And it's like that, isn't it? When people just dye the most beautiful colours, you can't resist them. And they're my colours. So we'll see. So thank you so much for that. Thank you so much, Andy and Angela. Attic Spin Dye. So that is on my crafting table. Happy to show you. Yes, there's quite a bit to do, isn't there? Quite a bit planned, and I shall take my time and it will get done as it gets done. So thank you for joining me. Now there's a little film of when we walked into Broadstairs after I made the parkin, and I told you about that in the kitchen. Yes, I take a few photographs of Charles Dickens places. So I hope you enjoy that, and I'll see you next time, and take care, and have a new viewer in Arizona, and I just wanted to say a special hello, and a special hello to you all too. Well, it's not hello, it's goodbye. It's one of those episodes today. See you soon. Bye-bye.